now listening to Wealthy Sistas Radio Show. We're now listening to Wealthy Sistas with Deborah Hartnett.
Great morning, great morning, great morning. Welcome to Wealthy Sistas Radio with a View. I am Deborah Hartnett, your host, and we are super excited to invite you to listen in to this awesome show today. You know, we are here for a reason, and that reason is a twofold purpose. First, it is so important that we make sure that we provide you with inspiration and encouragement. That is you, that business owner. You know, you might just be right there on the edge where you feel like you want to start a business, or maybe you've had your business for a number of years, and it can be lonely out there. Trust me, I know about it after 30 plus years of entrepreneurship. But we want to make sure that we have information here that can just, maybe it could just be one word, something that someone says, you know, someone that looks like you, that someone that you can relate to, right? That shares the same experience, something they might say to inspire you or to encourage you, and also to provide you with practical knowledge, right? We're not talking about theory here, because you can get that in school, which we're not talking against school, but when it comes down to it, we know that experience is the main key. So when you're able to hear from someone whose experience is on that road, like I said, where you are, where you're going, it is so important to be able to get something from them, to receive something. And our prayer is that it is able to ignite you, that you can use it right now, right? To apply not just to your business, but also to your life. Secondly, it is super important that we provide this platform to showcase, to highlight, to edify, and say thank you to the sisters and our brothers for doing big things. Because guys, you got to understand, it is more out there than what you see on television, right? There are more opportunities. And even within what you see on television, there's so much more beyond that. And I tell you what, today's show is going to be a true example of that. You know that this is the month of June, and we are culminating this month, and we know it as Black Music Month, right? Now, you might just know about music from what you hear or what you see, but do you know that there is a whole world of multiple streams beyond just what you see or hear on that radio? And today, y'all, I was so blessed just a few weeks ago, this month. I mean, God just aligned it perfectly for me to meet this beautiful, beautiful spirit. And she is not only a Grammy-nominated, award-winning songstress. I mean, the girl can sing, okay? She don't need no mix machine, no audio. I can't think of the name of that machine that does all that sound. She don't need any of that. Y'all, she can blow. But not only is that she's brilliant, she has created several streams just from the platform that she was able to create with that voice. And it is my honor and my privilege to introduce to you Maimouna Youssef, otherwise known as Mumu Fresh. Welcome, my sister, to Wealthy Sistas. Y'all give her a round of applause.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
Oh, man, thank you, sister, for being here. We know how busy you are. You've been, I think I saw you were with Dave Chappelle just a few, days ago, and I was trying to catch up with you a little bit yesterday through your channel, which I can't wait to show. Maybe they'll get a chance to hear a little bit of that beautiful, melodious voice of yours. But again, thank you for being here and honoring us with your presence today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor. Wonderful, wonderful sharing energy and space with you in Atlanta. That was great.
Yes, indeed. Yes, it was. We had a whole lot of fun. I mean, when I tell you, I was not expecting that day to be that way.
Yeah, no, it was
Yeah, yeah,
awesome. It was
it
awesome.
was, it was, and so we know, and for the sake of time, we're just going to get right into it. I'll tell you right up front, sis, we are nosy here. It's really
Okay.
not nosy. It's not. Sincerely, we really would love for our audience to know, what are those amazing ingredients that I like to call it that went into that recipe that we see today. Like, what
Okay.
was your background? What
Mhm.
led you to this path? Because as you might have heard me say, it's somebody in the audience right now that's where you were several years ago that might
Yeah.
feel like, okay, how can I do this? There's so much competition out here. I can't make money unless I am like all over everybody's million plus subscribers. But you have proven,
Mhm.
that there is a real need for what you are doing in the industry. So if you could just share a
Absolutely.
little bit about your background, and
Okay.
then we'll go from there.
Absolutely. As an artist, first I want to say, do my mic check. My mic sounds nice. How's the mic? I
Oh,
sound
Mike
right.
is beautiful. You're
Okay.
wonderful, sis.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So my background is steeped in a lot of culture, in Black culture, and Native American culture, and African culture, and Islamic culture. And I learned to sing through my family. My mother's a singer, my grandmother's a singer, and it really was just the way we communicated with each other, the way we expressed love, the way we prayed through song, and so my understanding of music is very much a spiritual one, which is why the commodification of music and the separation between secular and sacred was really hard for me in terms of music, because to me all music is sacred. It's really just about your intention, and the way I was taught to do music, the intention of music was to be sacred. It was to lift up and praise God. It was to bring more love, more empathy and understanding. It was a way of our to bring about more mental healing, relaxation, stress relief. It really was our own therapy. And so that's how I understood music. It's the way that I show up in the world, the way I create music and present it now is very much from that same place. And that's not the place that I think the industry would prefer you to create from. It's not a place that most understand in the industry. Um, yeah, but music was a spiritual gift. I didn't even really understand it as this thing to make money with until later on. It was just how I talk to God and express my own feelings to myself. As a little girl, I would sit and play my piano and just talk to God about my day and whatever was, upsetting me or making me happy. Like that was how I communicated. So when I got into the industry, I knew that I couldn't do it their way. I could not separate my song from from the spiritual nature of what I believe music to be about. I couldn't do that. That was never going to sit well with me. I knew that my ancestors were expecting more of me. So I had to find a way, because abundance is my birthright. So I had to find a way to still be able to um, become abundant and have all the things that I believe to be my right, um, and also but do it in a way where I'm still being authentic and true to myself, true to my culture, and the expectation of my elders and my ancestors. um, so it's been a journey, but such a beautiful one, and one that I'm excited that I've made it far enough to be able to share and teach someone else.
That is incredible. When I think about you, I don't baseball. I'm not a baseball fan, but I think about that famous saying from the movie. Build it and they will come.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
You stood firm because the industry. I mean, and I don't want to pull you into talking about anything that you're uncomfortable with talking about, but it is. We saw it. We've heard from artists. Like yourself, we think about first person. I think about Lauryn Hill.
Hmm.
In her experience, particularly coming from Islamic, upbringing. But the industry is kind of almost like it's designed, to aid in a lot of things that
Hmm.
is not positive, particularly for our community.
I agree.
And what I love so much about what you were doing and meeting you is the healing part, that you do. You stand your ground and you haven't compromised your value system, and you're busy, you're working.
Yep.
You have a son that you've homeschooled, you're putting through school and getting ready for college and preparing for. I mean, you're doing all these things, and I just think it's just great for our up and coming artists to see the real visuals of what it's like, and not compromising your
Absolutely.
values.
Absolutely. Um, it's so important. And it's not an easy road. It's a tough balance. Um, I thought the whole world was the way it was in my mother's house. Until
Didn't we
I
all
left the
though?
house.
Didn't we
Yeah,
all?
and I said, "Oh wow, this is really different out here. It's very different out here." And but I knew that it was important for me to stay true to my values. To me, it's like what we're taught, and I'll say too, just growing up Muslim, um, it really, really saved me when I got on the road, to not be in the habit of drinking or doing drugs or being promiscuous, like those kinds of things. Like the fact that I was already taught that, and I was already on that road. It really, really protected me from a lot of the access. It blows people's minds when they get this unlimited access to
Wow.
anything you can think of all at once. And most of the people getting involved in the industry, they're children. And it's very difficult to prevent yourself from just falling into all of the trappings that are so easily available to you in the music industry. And one thing I'll say is that my Islam and just my upbringing really protected me from a lot of
I
those
mean,
those trappings, that take artists out the game long before they're even able to share their talent. And so I'm super. I always tell my mom I'm very grateful for the discipline that she raised me with, that helped me stay steadfast when there was so much pressure to go a different way, in a very destructive way. A lot of artists fall victim to a lot of self-destruction, and they're never even able to release their music and to really maximize on their full potential, because the discipline piece, they can't get past the discipline piece.
man, you said a mouthful when you talk about discipline. Of course, being a creative spirit, the tendency or the stereotype is that, they're flighty and they're not. And I mean, definitely, I think this is a great segue into those multiple streams that you've been able to create. You had to have discipline, right? Of course, Islam is definitely the foundation for that discipline. But let's talk about, discipline. Let's elaborate on that, as far as what it takes to just, if a person is just, their goal is to be a singer. Um, I don't, how you treat this voice, like athletes. I mean, not in judgment, no judgment at all. But I don't understand how an athlete or an artist who makes money from their body, could damage or could put anything in this $1 million plus vessel. But let's talk about the importance of discipline and how
Yeah.
you've seen it manifest in your life.
Yeah, so I started an educational platform, and I train artists on this, because my mom, I always say, like, she's like Joe Jackson, not in the abusive way, but definitely in terms of how she trained me to take care of my voice, in terms of the herbs, in terms of the diet, not eating starchy food or anything with dairy before you sing, and I actually stopped eating dairy altogether, and I'm working on the starchy foods. Making sure that you really understand herbs and what herbs help deal with inflammation before you sing, the difference between a sore throat and an inflamed throat. Like, what does that mean?
Wow.
Not talking. Oh my God. When I'm on tour, like, ongoing tour, like if we're doing 20 cities back to back, I literally can't talk during the day. I have to be
Yes.
quiet. and I only speak at night, when I'm singing during the show. Because my grandmother told me when I was little that talking wears your voice out more than singing, so you have to be quiet until it's time to sing. So just being on voice rest, and that is its own spiritual process, right? Silence fasting. There's so much,
Wow.
because when you're quiet, then you can listen.
Yes.
So it's like when I'm
Yes.
doing the silence fasting for my voice, there's also added spiritual benefit because there's a lot of revelations that happen during that time of silence. So yeah, that's been very helpful, and it definitely takes a lot of discipline and just even training. Like coming out of COVID, not traveling so much and not being as active as I was before. I was still working out here and there, but not the way I was before. So having to get my body back show ready. Like I feel like the last show I did a Juneteenth show in Ohio with my band, and we've been performing for about a year and a half, maybe, not as much as we were before, but we're getting back into it post COVID since a lot of the restrictions have been released. But I remember thinking like, all right, now I'm back, because the first couple of shows, it was like, you have to train your body, get your breath control back together, just the fluidity on stage. We really are athletes. Artists are athletes, and you got to treat yourself that way. There's this idea that, sleep when you die, and you're supposed to be staying up in the studio 3-4 days. And a lot of artists do that. They'll just take Adderall and stay up in the studio 3-4 days. And to me, it's like, you really decrease the quality of your work. You may get more quantity, but you're going to decrease the quality of your work if you are not honoring your body and giving your body its rights to rest and to nutrition and to health and to wellness. So I teach, my students that a lot when they come to take my online classes. Like the first thing I'm like, what's your diet like? What are you eating? What are your supplements? How are you resting? Because that really will determine how you perform.
That is so amazing. I am so excited to hear that. Being that wellness is a passion of mine, and to know that that is something that you teach in your workshop. So that's one of the first things you go over with them. What has been your experience with them? When you introduce that concept of taking care of their body and their voice and having quiet time and all of that. What kind of feedback have you been getting from them?
It's difficult for artists. It's difficult for artists because and a lot of times you'll see artists who've been in the game, 20, 30 years. Like I was watching a documentary with Timberland, like artists, we feel like we're invincible until you get to this point, where you're about to break, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically. But Timberland was talking about that, like how he had developed diabetes and, he really was kind of breaking down, very depressed, and how he had to make a total shift. And so like when you don't take care of your body for a long time, you have to be really, really extreme about how remedy the body then. So there's always a lot of pushback, especially when, artists, my teenage artists in their early 20s, they feel like I'm invincible. And it's like, you're not.
Right.
Even if you
Right.
don't gain weight because of a particular food, it doesn't mean it's not harming your body. Doesn't mean it's not harming the health of your body. We have this idea that as long as I look the part, then I'm okay, and that's not true, And so there's normally some pushback at first, but when they try it and they see the difference, it's like, oh my God, I'm going through training right now to become a certified breathologist to learn
Oh,
how to really, really utilize the breath, the way some of the
wonderful.
yogis do and things like that. And that, I mean, all of that comes into our field, but a lot of artists don't take it that serious. And my question is about if you want greatness or not. Some people are okay without greatness. They don't
Right,
want,
right.
they want the fame, but they don't want to be great. And you can be famous doing anything. You can get
That's right.
famous doing something crazy,
Getting
something
locked up.
violent. Yeah, you can be famous doing anything.
Right.
But are you great? Are you great at
Right.
what you're doing? So for me, it's greatness is always what I'm after, and maximizing my potential. I might have done a good job, but was it the height of my potential? Did I have the ability to do any better? Then I'm gonna do it again. So that's
That's
how I feel.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Now, just on the sidebar, are you studying with someone there in DC? Because I know a sister that's very popular there. Yayoi
Mama
Handy.
Io Handy, absolutely. I've known her my whole life.
Yes, yes, she's been on the show. Yeah, it's time for her to come back. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I've known Mama
awesome.
Io since I was a little girl. She's friends with my mother, so we've been, yep, just that's who
Oh,
I'm
that is
studying with. Yep.
So wonderful. That
Yeah.
is so wonderful. Well, I cannot wait to see the results, of that as well. So
Mhm.
now, what else do you teach in the workshop? So, someone's on
Mhm.
and they're wanting to, they might say, I don't really sing that well. Do
Yeah.
you help with vocal lessons as well, or
Yes,
you
I
just is
do.
just on this
Yeah,
the
so I,
business
I
side
do
of it?
teach voice lessons, not as much. I teach more, I do a lot more therapeutic songwriting. I mean, that's my joy. I really, really enjoy teaching therapeutic songwriting. I'm training teachers to train to teach more of the vocal exercises more. But that is something that we do offer on the mooniversitystudies.com website. I really enjoy teaching the music business classes. I have a class just for mothers, mother creatives who either they maybe have started music, but then once they had their children, they didn't really feel like they had time for themselves. So kind of getting them comfortable again with seeing themselves as an artist and creating, putting a schedule together and finding time to create, even if it's not for public consumption, even if you don't want to be a artist, a performing artist, or but you're an artist, you're creative, and if you're creative, then you should be creating, no matter what. And so, and being an artist and a mom myself, I really, really understand the importance of it. Is like for creatives, if you're not creating, you feel like you're dying, you know?
Right,
And
right.
people around you who are not creatives won't understand that.
Yeah.
They won't understand why you're not okay moving on with this next chapter of your life and just, that was the past, and it's not, like artists who were meant to create, we can't stop it. My uncle is a heavy metal guitarist and he's in his 70s now. And when I call him, he's still home, you
He's
know,
still.
yeah, he's still home shedding because it doesn't die.
Yes.
When you're an artist, you never stop being an artist. And so I think that part is important. But sometimes women lose their confidence, once they have children, and so just helping them restore that, and seeing themselves as creatives and remembering their value. Like you are very valuable as a mom, but you're also valuable as a person as well, and just making sure that we, lift them up and give them that kind of encouragement. And your children deepen your creativity. There's this
They
idea in
do.
the music industry, right? That once you have children, you're less valuable. But that is the biggest amount of nonsense ever. You're actually more valuable because your art is richer once you become a parent and a mother, right? You got more to write about, you have more to
Right.
pull from, and you
Right.
just created a whole person. Why would you be less creative in your art?
Right. Right.
You're the master of
Right.
creation now. So
Right.
yes, that's like something I'm very passionate about. So I teach that on through my portal, and then I also teach artists how to do like a basic setup, how to engineer their own projects. During 2020, I ended up building a studio and went back to audio engineering school. And all the recordings I released in 2020 with Salam Remy, with Toby Nwigwe, with Alila James. I recorded all of those. And so,
Wow.
I'm not a master engineer yet. I'm really, I'm not one of the people that'll just give myself master credit if I have not mastered it yet. And that's because I'm
You
hard on
working.
myself. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's because I'm hard on myself. I'm always growing and building. So, but I learned enough to be able to put out all of my own recordings during 2020, and some of those songs really went really far. And so yeah, so I teach artists how to do a basic setup. You don't have to spend a lot of money on studio time. Some artists will get stuck in place feeling like I don't have enough money to even start, and so then they won't start. And it's like
Sorry.
I'm like, start where you are with what you have. You have enough, and you are enough. So I teach them how to do a basic setup with their laptops and an app, a good mic, and start recording. And because you got to figure out how you record. So even if you want to do the pre-production at home and then take it to another studio later, you're going to save money in the studio when you do the pre-production and you stack the vocals and you get comfortable creating the whole arrangement and structure of the song. So yeah, so I do a class on basic audio engineering 101 and studio recording. Yeah.
Now that's amazing. I mean, technology today has really, seems like it's made that a great possibility for someone to be able to do that. Like you
Yeah.
said, versus not having the money for the studio time. Was it something
Yeah.
that you built right in your home, or you know?
Absolutely. And I did all of the soundproofing in my room.
Oh, wow.
I took, like I told you, I signed up for a class and I
Uh huh.
soundproofed my room. I bought a really good mic. and I recorded all my own records, and I'm making money off of those records. I'm making residual income off of those records. Some of them are
Yes.
in the millions in terms of streams and downloads.
Yes.
And I did it at home. I didn't wait for someone to do it for me. I didn't say, oh, we can't go in the studio because of COVID, so then I'm not going to record. No, I recorded more, because of
Yes.
COVID. So I really teach artists how to be just relentless and resilient. Don't make excuses for yourself. Don't come up with reasons why you can't. It has to be done. We have to move forward. And that's the only way we can be truly masters of our own destiny. We have to be self-autonomous. We have to remove as many of the middlemen as possible, and you can only do that by learning new skills, trusting in yourself, moving forward. Start before you're ready. That's what my trainer tells me when I'm lifting weights. Start before you're ready. Start before you're ready. Get out there and try. You don't know if you can't do it until you try. And
Right.
I amaze myself all the time. I'm always trying new things. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know I was good at that. Oh, okay, I'm good at this too. And so that's
Yes.
how we build our net worth, not just financially, but also in terms of your skill set, what you have to offer. I always tell students, become valuable, learn more, offer more. Don't just have your hand out for what someone can do for you. Where's your value? Where's your skill sets? What do you know how to do? What are you a master of? And what are you mastering? So yeah, I just think those things are so important, and we can't be independent. We can't truly own, our careers, ourselves, our masters. We can't be owners, right? If we are not self-autonomous, if we don't have the skill sets to really do these things. So always keep learning, keep developing. I still go to voice lessons, and
Yes.
keep learning, keep building. Don't ever stop.
Well, I mean, you've said so much. We could end the show right here. For real, keep learning. Start before you're ready.
Hmm.
What are you mastering,
Yeah.
or what are you the master of?
Hmm.
And I love the fact that you share this with your students as
Yeah.
well. Also, the fact that we talked about the importance of having that discipline, and leading to, this, what is it that you want to do, making yourself valuable, as well. But also, when you look at, your platform that you have, and you're helping them understand the importance of the industry, you also shared with me about, well, let me go to this first. You said to own your own masters,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Ownership, self-autonomy. You're talking about the importance of owning. So just for layman's terms, though you mentioned residual income,
Hmm.
what explain what that is.
Yeah.
Explain the importance if you don't own your masters. Break that down, because I think sometimes we might assume that people know that, and I still hear stories today
Yeah.
of young people, being in bad situations where they're not making the money that they thought they would be making.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, generally, any deal that you go into, most record deals, some publishing deals, um, some licensing deals, they won't let you own your masters, right? And I've heard some artists say, well, 100% of nothing is nothing. So why do you even want to own your masters? Okay, well, why do they want to own my masters?
Right.
And it's not nothing. The thing is, your master is like a home. You build equity in your master by the work that you do to create more value in yourself as an artist and in the product. So it is as valuable to you as it is to them. It's just about what are you building in it, right? And that just comes from, you know, marketing, promotion, like how you're pushing yourself as an artist builds equity in your master. So you got to look at it like a home. At some point in your career, that master is going to be very, very valuable. And when it is, who owns it?
Who
And
owns it?
and who
Right.
and so when you don't own your master, right? A lot of people think that you can just buy it back whenever you want to. That's not true. They don't have to sell it back to you.
Wow.
And if they do sell it back to you, they can sell it back to you at whatever rate they decide, not you. So
Wow.
I always say a lot of companies now, right? A lot of labels, they kind of know they can't do the same crap to artists that they used to 20, 30, 40 years ago, but they'll still say things like, let's just do a 50-50 split. Okay, that sounds fair. But they don't want to split the master though. They'll split everything 50-50, but not the master. So why not the master? How come I can't split the master 50-50 if it's all 50-50, right? They don't want you to own the master because, for one, it's like if they want to exploit it in any way they want to, they don't want you to have a say-so. They don't want you to hold it up. They don't want you to say, no, I don't want my master used for that. And for me, an artist that is I have a lot of political opinions. I have a lot of boundaries around the things I support and the things I don't support. So it wouldn't work for me to allow someone else who does not have my ethics and my moral compass to have the right to position and place my music wherever they felt like in alignment with whatever cause is, or
like a commercial or something for a product, like Slits Malt Liquor or something.
Nothing I can do about
it.
They would place me wherever they wanted to, and I have a lot of strong opinions about certain companies that I don't think is helpful, in particular for Black people. I have a lot of strong feelings about companies that support privatized prisons, about companies that support the detriment of our health. I have a lot of feelings about those things, and I don't want music that's in alignment with some of those companies that I feel like are very damaging, especially to communities of color. So I'm very cautious about who owns, about that sort of thing, about someone else owning my masters, without us having an understanding about, where my boundaries are and where my morals, lie. For a lot of artists, they don't really know that they should own their masters, and they feel like, well, that's standard, which it is. Now, just because something is standard doesn't make it fair. I always tell my clients that, so what that is standard? You go create a new standard. All standard means is that's what they've always done. It doesn't mean that's what they have to do, or that's what you have to accept. It doesn't.
Or the law, right?
Yeah, it's not the law. You create it. You decide what you want. You don't even have to order off the menu. Just tell them what's in your mind. This is what I deserve. And so I think that's really that's important. Or if there is a situation where you're splitting the master 50-50, a lot of times they want your back catalog. I normally don't advise people to agree to the back catalog, because when your new record does well, your back catalog is how you're going to really eat, because your new catalog, you're going to have so many people eating off of it. Streams don't really make a whole lot of money. Licensing is always a great opportunity to make money. Anything that's, in TV and film, ASCAP checks.
That's licensing. Bigger. I was going to ask you. Okay. The licensing and publishing, what's the difference?
TV and film.
Okay.
So, and there are multiple sides. Of the record. Sometimes it depends if you compose it. So I always tell artists who are singers or rappers, make sure you're also a writer. It doesn't make sense to not be a writer, right? Because that's where the real money is.
Especially if you're a rapper, right?
Yeah, you need to be a writer, at least a co-writer.
Yeah.
And have your own publishing company. Like there's so many layers to it. Like it's so many layers to it. And I advise people based on who they are. I don't think it's a one size fits all recommendation for anyone. It really depends on your situation and what your objectives are, what you want to get out of this, what your long-term plan is. But for myself, I think master ownership is really, really important. I'm building equity in all of my masters. And I said residual income, because anything that you're releasing, right, there's income that you're making just every time it streams anywhere, anytime your voice streams anywhere on the net, right? That's your performance royalty. But then you also have your royalty for being a writer, for owning the master, for being a copyright owner. So there are a lot of different ways in which residual incomes are coming to you. You can release a song one time and the money always comes back to you. I did a commercial with Ford, so all that kind of stuff. Every time it plays on the radio, you get a residual income for years or however long it runs. So that's what you want. You want in your sleep money. The performance money is great. A lot of artists live off of performance money, but that's based on you being present. You got to think long term. Okay, so what about when I don't want to be present? What about when I'm ready to be in the house chilling, or I want to pour into something else? You want to have your music making money for you while you're sleeping. So that's what's really important.
Wow. Well, if you have just joined us, we are here on Wealthy Sistas Radio with a view with none other than Maimouna Mumu Fresh, Youssef. And we're just going to take a quick informational break. I got to let everybody know we're super excited to share that we are partnered with Black USA News. That's right. You can find us there, Black USA News. We're available on there. That is a plethora of information. I'm telling you, my brother Donnie Glover out of Be More. I'm so excited to be on this platform. I mean, he is, telling you, when you talk about for his people, he has a heart after his people, and it shows through this platform that he's put together. So many different shows, not just on politics, but business, entertainment. So make sure you go by blackusa.news. Now, we are here with the beautiful I love that picture, sis. That's a bad outfit.
Thank you.
Do you design your outfits as well? You're so talented. Are you
No, no. I have so my stylist designed that, but I do have recently I had a painter. She painted a print for me that I've made into fabric. So I do have a new line of items printed with this fabric, and it's a mix of like the diamondback snake, which is like like the official, animal for the Choctaw tribe. And I also wanted to mix it with some Adinkra symbols and just show the whole Afro Indigenous blend. So she did her own expression to mix these two cultures. And so we do have a line that's available on our websites, both of our websites, with the leggings and t-shirts and all those types of things like that. So a whole merch site where people can find that. But it's definitely coming. A fashion line is definitely coming in the future.
Yeah, well, speaking of the website, we could just hop over there now. I was definitely going to show it. What a beautiful site here. So they can go to the site. They can find, your workshops we talked about. I do want to get back to that. All of your music here. And then you talk about that merchandise there. So is that on here yet? That new shirt you were talking about?
The new shirt? No, that one is not up on the website yet. It's on our MumuFreshMerch.com. I'll send you that information though. Yeah.
Okay, very good, very good.
Yeah, we just put it out about a week ago. I think about a week ago. We just got all of the pieces. So we've been taking it around to all of our concerts. So if you catch us on the road, you'll definitely be able to purchase some of the new line with the pattern on it. Yep.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, we're also, if you just joined us, we're talking about behind the multiple streams of the music industry. And my sister here is phenomenal. Wow. I know that you bring so much value to artists that are very well known, that, with your skills. And another thing that caught my attention was the fact that you help them understand contracts.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you teach how to know how to read that contract, how do you help with the negotiation, or because they still need to have I'm sure you suggest they need to have someone there to represent
a lot
that.
of times. So I run boot camps, and I'll have my own lawyers come and give them advice, right? But normally you can't really give legal advice without being retained by someone. So what I do is it's like one of my recent clients, his lawyer made a suggestion. And I asked him, did he understand why? And he said, no. I said, okay. I said, so no matter what your lawyer tells you, I want you to understand it for yourself. You should understand what you're reading, what you're looking at, and never take anyone's suggestion as law or as truth. It needs to be your truth, which fits for what your long-term strategy is, for yourself. You don't ever let anyone else decide what's best for your long-term growth and strategy, right? So we just went over line by line, going through the contract so that he understood the language. What does this word mean? And what are the long-term implications of that word? Will that word have you in court for the next foreseeable future if you don't like this thing, if you don't like how this pans out? Okay, so then let's change the language like this that gives you a little more wiggle room, because normally when they send you the contract, it's all going to be in their favor, and it's up to you to negotiate it to make it in your favor. They're not going to make it fair. You have to make it fair. A lot of people don't realize that, and they'll take whatever they're given as, oh, this is what they're offering, so that's what I got to just accept. They don't. Most young people, especially coming from our communities, they don't understand the art of negotiation. No one ever told them anything about that they even could. A lot of young people feel just happy to be in the room, and what I tell them is that they need you as much as you need them. If not, honestly, they need you more. You can make music without them. They can't sell music without artists. you know?
Right.
And so,
Right.
yeah, so I help them. I just want, whatever decision that you make, just understand the decision that you're making. Because artists will always say that, well, I didn't understand that, and legal language is difficult to understand. I feel like they almost intentionally make it difficult.
They
So
do.
I
They
try to really
do.
go through. In my first contract, I did not understand what I was agreeing to. And I had two lawyers and two, college educated adults, and they still did not advise me well, you know? And so, and I would, I was a teenager, just fresh out of high school. I didn't understand what I was looking at. And it was standard. It wasn't like they were trying to you do me dirty. It was standard. This is how it goes for everybody. It's like, well, Moo, everyone has to deal with this. You're not special. We're not trying to harm you, but this is what everyone accepts. And so I had to decide, well, that's not what I'm going to accept. That's not what I want. Okay, so then what do you want? All right, let me dream it up, and I'm going to get my lawyer to write it in terms. And now we're going to negotiate with my well-being in mind, because they're always going to negotiate with their well-being in mind. So you have to do the same thing. So I really just try to help artists understand their value. I mean, what I find a lot of times with our people coming from impoverished neighborhoods is that our main issue has to do with our value, our lack of value, that we don't have that strong value system, and it really shows in the things that we accept and that we have to deal with for a long time, And so if I can get you early and help you understand what your worth is, the
Yeah.
conversation goes a little different in those rooms. And when you see what other people are not accepting, when you're talking about endorsements and which is another great money maker for artists, sponsorships and endorsements, you'll be surprised what your, white counterparts are getting versus what they're offering you and what you're accepting. Those conversations need to be had. We can't just feel lucky to be in the room. We have
Right.
to know that we have an intrinsic value that starts one. They wouldn't have even reached out to you had you not had that value. And a lot of, I've experienced this in my career where they want you to feel like you're lucky to be there. And they want you to feel like, hey, I didn't need you,
That's a tactic.
or well, where would you go without me? I mean, who else is going to want you, Well, those are abusive terms, like I studied how at the House of Roof when I was a teenager. I worked there as a summer youth program, and it was interesting that so many of the statements that were listed in that cycle of violence, that I heard
Yes.
those same things repeated to me in the music industry
In the
by
music industry.
companies or producers that wanted you to agree to less than what you deserve. They would use this language having to do with your value or devaluing you and trying to make you believe that this is the best you're ever going to get. And I just feel like that's vile. And artists should know that going into it. They should know, hey, it's always, I love when I tell them they're probably going to say this to you and this should be your response. And when they come back and said, they did
That's
say
what
that.
they said.
I know. It's a script. It's a script,
Yeah. That's the first thing you say. It's a script. It's a script. Yeah. Honestly, to tell you the truth, the value thing is something that we deal with constantly. I mean, as Black women, as women, we deal with that value, knowing our worth. I mean, one of our mutual friends or your colleagues, I know you said you know him, Bobby, Big Country, always telling me,
I
you
just saw him
can't
a couple days
negotiate.
ago.
Did you see
Yep,
him? Did he
yep. With
did he get the
Dave, yep.
picture? Did he get the picture? I sent him. Yeah, but he's always said, Miss Deborah, you can't negotiate. You can't negotiate for yourself. Even I can't negotiate, and he's a master negotiator, right? Even I can't negotiate for myself. It's just that value, knowing your value, right? Is so important in that. And with the workshops, you're helping them with the independence. You've got with all of the other things that we talked about. I love the fact that you teaching them, empowering them in the health part of it, knowing the value of taking care of their voice and taking care of their body. And then you've got another stream of the merchandise now. Okay, you've got that as well. Is it anything? The workshops, the other workshops that you work with the university, your is there anything that we did not talk about with
I
the
mean, I definitely do a
university?
lot of keynote speeches, around the therapeutic songwriting workshop. And that's not just for artists. I've done work in the prison system with that. I mean, that's honestly my favorite group to work with, especially with the women, especially with the
Yeah.
women, because
Yeah.
you'll be amazed at how many of their sentences have something to do with some amount of sexual abuse. It starts there. It's heavy. Um, and the songwriting is really such an incredible tool to help them process what they're dealing with, what the world has really thrown at them. I've done it in methadone clinics, I do it in rec centers. I do it everywhere that I can. I just did it for this Muse conference. Like every age group, every economic status, every color. But I in particular love working with women on it because I just feel like as the mothers, we have so much work to do. And when we heal ourselves, we're able to heal our families. Every person on this earth's first teacher was a mother. Even if you didn't know your mother, inside of her body, she was your first teacher. So yeah, that's one of my favorite workshops to do. I'm actually partnering with Black Girls Rock next Saturday. Next Saturday. Yeah, Saturday to do a therapeutic songwriting workshop. And I've done it for their girls for their summer camp, Black Girls Lead. And I'm doing it for another group of men and whoever wants to come, men and women, whoever. Next Saturday, because she's actually starting the first Black Men Rock on Friday, so I'm hosting that
Oh,
event.
really? Okay,
That's
that's
really
good.
cool.
They probably like, when are you gonna leave? Because I get that all the time. What about the wealthy brothers? I interview
Yeah.
brothers.
So they're gonna be on there. But I just think that one is so important. I'm starting to do a lot more keynotes, for conferences. Next year I'll be hosting my very own first sacred sound healing retreat. So it'll be a
Oh,
2-day
wow.
retreat where
Where
we
is it gonna be? You know yet?
we're locking it in right now. I'll let you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
But we're gonna do it on the solstice, June 21st and 22nd on the summer solstice. But it's just sacred sound, the breathing techniques, all of the sacred side of sound is what we're gonna focus on for women who are creatives, to really learn how to tap into that. I feel like in the music industry, a lot of artists who really want to make sacred music are afraid. Artists who want to make songs around, activism and more subject matter are afraid that they won't be able to make money, that they'll lose their livelihood if they honor what their spirit is telling them to do. So we want to encourage that. I talk to women a lot about, like you said, negotiation. Your body is not a negotiating chip. It's never a part of the negotiation, period. You don't have to you don't have to acquiesce to get anything done. Your talent is enough, your intelligence is enough, your value, what you have to offer is separate. Your body is not a part of that. That belongs to you. That's what you own. That's what you own. And a lot of times I feel like a lot of young girls feel pressured into also selling sex when they don't want to. Now, if that's what you want to do, then cool. But there are a lot of women I talk to who don't want to, and they don't feel like they have an option. And they feel very, very pressured by everybody around them, parents included. And so, we really discussed that about what do you do when you don't want your body to be on the negotiating table?
Wow.
How do you
What's
advocate
one
for
thing do
yourself?
you tell them? Like what can you tell us one thing you would tell them? Like if you're
Well,
having a conversation. Uh-huh.
for one, it starts with the value system again. It starts with the value system, and that abundance doesn't come from man; it comes from God.
I
And
mean,
so you can't lose anything,
this
right?
for you.
You can't. Everything that God made is abundant. There's no lack of grass or trees, except for when humans come and cut it down. But in terms of how God created this earth, God created everything with abundance, and you too. And so everything that you're wanting is a manifestation of the way we think, the way we feel about ourselves, what we think belongs to us, what we think we deserve, you know? And when we start there, we don't lose anything by saying, hey, I also don't want to do it this way. I want to do it that way. And we have to
Right.
know that if we walk away from the thing that our spirit is telling us to walk away from, that there is still light for us and more light and life
Right.
in abundance for us. I had to really sit with that because I was one of those artists that was like, hey, I don't want to sell sex. I get it. No knock to you all if you want to. But that's not what I want to do. I wanted to sell art, and that was a challenge because a lot of companies don't know how to sell art. A lot of these record labels, these companies, they don't know how to sell art. They only know how to sell sex. And that's not what I wanted to do. No, not to anyone who, if that's your calling, that's fine. But that's not my calling. I sell art. And so when I realized, like, okay, you don't know how to sell me, then I'm gonna have to learn how to sell myself. I'm gonna learn how to I couldn't find a company that I felt like understood me. So I said, oh, maybe I have to create the company. Maybe it doesn't exist yet. And maybe
Yeah.
I will create a platform where others will be able to come and feel understood and have a place to grow and to flourish and to understand themselves as creative beings and to know what their possibilities are and their options, and that you're not like your value is not determined by someone else's inability to value you.
Come on, girl.
You know,
That's
like
that's
that's
it.
where it
That's
starts. The reason
it.
why we have a hard time
Woo.
walking away from things that don't serve us is because we
Yeah.
think that our value, right, and our abundance is tied to this person, this company, this situation. This person has to value me for me to value me, and it's just not true. So that's where I start. What do I tell them? That's where I start. It's about how we feel inside. You know, we have to feel like I'm going to be successful no matter what. No matter what. You know, my success is not tied to you. You don't have that right over my life. You don't. You just don't. You're not that powerful. And
You're
abundance comes from
not.
God. And so my abundance is gonna come no matter what. And that has been my experience. So I speak from experience to know that I've been provided
Yes.
for. God keeps providing for me. I've been all over this world. I've been to every continent besides
Yes.
Antarctica, and performed in every continent for every every kind of people, every language. I've had incredible experiences, and I have not had to sell myself to do it. And I'm not going to tell you that it's easy, and you have to stay steadfast, because there will be dark moments where it feels like, man, no one's listening, no one's paying attention, no one cares about these things I'm saying. And then the light will open up, and then it'll be like the floodgates. And that's what I've experienced. I've, like I said, you mentioned I've raised my son. He's toured with
Yeah.
me all over the world. I've homeschooled him. Brilliant mind. I've done all the things they said I couldn't do. I did them like 3-4 times over. And just have had an incredible experience. I've lived an amazing life in a short period of time. And so I'm living proof that you can have what you want and do what you want and be what you want your way. You can really do it your way, but you got to have the courage to do it, because everyone will tell you that you can't. They'll tell you that you can't. And your circle is so important. Who's around you, encouraging you? I just watched 2 documentaries of Amy Winehouse, and I watched the Whitney Houston documentary when I was flying over to LA, because we just did the BET Awards with Taraji. Taraji chose one of my songs, "Dance Daughter," as the theme song for her Boris Lawrence Foundation for mental
I
health, and
saw
to the
that.
BET
Yeah.
dinner. We did a performance there for that. And so I watched these 2 documentaries, and boy, what I noticed is that nobody around them would say, stop.
Stop. Back
No
up.
one around them would put their health and their well-being over the money, and some to be your own people sometimes.
Yeah.
They
Like you
won't,
said, parents. I've heard
they
parents.
won't
Yeah,
stop
saying,
you
yeah.
from destroying yourself, because then the money will stop rolling in. And it's unfortunate that art, I met Whitney the night before she passed.
Oh,
And I remember someone saying, we were at that party that
oh,
Clive Davis
wow.
had. And I just remember thinking, what's so tragic about artists, right, is that we are worth more to these companies dead than alive.
Wow.
And we got to take that into consideration, how we're moving,
Another reason why you said you need to own your
yes.
masters.
And you need to have an estate. You got to set your things up ahead of time, right? Set your things up ahead of time, so that where all your royalties are going, and making sure the people that you want to have them when you go are going to have them, the organizations, the charities, those
The
sort of things.
trust and all of that, your
Yeah, you got to have it. You got
foundations.
to have a trust.
Yes.
Everything that you're working towards, where's it going to go? Because we can't carry it with us. So where's it going to go? What cause is it going to, fuel, right? But I just was thinking about that, just how important just your circle is. People who genuinely want your well-being, even if they can't benefit from it, especially when they can't benefit from it. Those are the kinds of light beings, the kind of souls, the kind of people that you want to keep close to you, to really make sure that you're moving in the greatest, the best direction for you, for your highest good. That's so important. And That's normally not the case. Artists are normally surrounded by vultures that would have them exploit themselves in any way possible as long as it benefited everybody around them. And so that's my first thing that I tell artists about, how value yourself. It starts with your value system. It starts with your connection with God, keeping that clear channel of spiritual communication open so that God is telling you when a snake is in your perimeter and in your circle, God is telling you, not that one. Don't do that. And being able to listen. But with the noise of the music industry, a lot of times we can't listen. That's why
You
I
can't
say it's
even hear.
important
Yeah.
to tune in, tap in so that you can hear what you have to hear. And you don't have people around you trying to scare you away from your calling and away from your destiny, trying to scare you with lack and scarcity concepts and consciousness that are steering you away from where your true abundance lies. So that's really everything starts for me at a spiritual center. And then it manifests into the physical, because everything that is physical was once a thought. It was once a feeling. It was once an idea. It was once a wish, a desire, and then it came into physical manifestation. So everything that God has for me starts in here. You don't have it. You don't have it to give me. And if God wants you to give it to me, God gonna reach inside of you and make you give it to me.
Right. And they can't take it away from you
You
either.
can't take it away from me. It's mine. So
Yeah.
that's the main thing I really try to impress upon artists is like when you live like that, it's a flow. It's a flow that you start to live in. It's really true. And I've heard these concepts and couldn't really understand and didn't feel like it was really relevant to, a little black girl from west side of Baltimore, but it really is. It's available to all of us. And it's really true. There's a flow of ongoing nectar of pouring abundance and joy and prosperity. And we just got to stand under it. We got to be in the position to receive all that's coming. But when we out of alignment, you could be standing right next to the flowing nectar of abundance and you won't even know it. Because you out of line, you're not in alignment, you out of line. So our job is really just to get in line, and then everything else will come to us.
Beautiful. My. Wow. What a powerful sister you are. I mean, I've written down, taken so many notes here, and just hitting back to that silence fast. Like you said, I hadn't heard that term before. Silence fast, so that they can hear and not just be preparing and saving your voice, but so that you can be tapped in and tuned in. And I love this. You said your value is not determined by someone else's inability not to value you.
Okay.
That is one I'm taking.
Okay.
I'm telling you up front.
All right. Share it. Tell everybody.
Yes, I am sharing that. I am sharing that. That is so special. Well, if you have just joined us, you can catch the replay on YouTube, Facebook. Definitely, we want to ask you to please subscribe to the channel, at YouTube, Facebook. Like, spread the word, share, that we had none other than Mumu Fresh on with us today. Maimouna. What does that name mean? I know I asked you.
Yeah.
Share with the audience.
All over West Africa and North Africa means different things. She was the wife of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And some places it means kind-hearted. It means under the protection of the divine. It means lucky. So it has different, variations of, similar things.
Yeah. It's a beautiful name. Well, just to share with everyone, I'm going to do another quick screen share here so that they can see your YouTube channel, have them to make sure they do that, to go and check you out there. Any other places? I know your Instagram and Facebook, and any other places you want.
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, my website. You can always book me through my website now. Okay.
We took it's beautiful here.
We have you can check out our music videos. Me and D Smoke have a music video there. We're about to release the remix.
I like this one, the North Star. I saw that. Oh wow,
so we're
that's powerful.
Right now. Oh, that's my favorite music video that we've ever done. It came out.
This is not this is a film.
Right. You know what? And we won an award for at the Urban Film Festival for best music video. Yep, it is like a short film.
Yeah,
that's what I really want to get into is creating short films, feature films as well that tell our story. Because I feel like there's so much more of the Black experience that has not been depicted on TV
Right.
or on film yet. There's so
Right.
much
Right.
more. I mean, I think about my own upbringing, and I don't see us on TV.
No.
We were
No.
very much kind of a subculture of the United States, but it was a lot of us. And
Yes.
we lived a certain way. We lived our own lifestyle kind of away from the dominant American culture, and our stories have not been told yet. So that's what I'm looking forward to telling.
Well, God willing, inshallah, I know that
Yeah,
you will be able to do
inshallah.
that. Yes,
Thank you
yes,
so much.
yes. Well, if we can, we're going to sign off here. We know that you
Okay.
have to get to your busy day, but if we could just hear one little goodbye or
Yeah.
something, tease us with something, take
Keep
us out.
on walking with your head held high.
Yeah.
Keep on talking like you heard it from the sky. We ain't gonna let them bring us down. We come too far to give up now. Shine your light on the world. Shine your light now.
Ooh!
Shine your light.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, sister. We appreciate you. We'll continue to keep you in our prayers, you and your son and your family. And definitely let us know what you got going on. Anything, know that you
Okay.
always got a home right here.
Thank
Always.
you so much. Thank you. I
Anytime.
appreciate you.
Anytime. Thank you. Well, continue blessings.
Yeah.
And with all that said, we want to thank everyone for tuning in and watching us again. Please go spread the word about Wealthy Sistas Radio. We are back. We're here, and we're excited to provide that content for you. Somebody saying, "You beautiful, your voice there." We're so excited to continue to provide this content. And again, like, subscribe, and share. Next week, tune in. We have none other than Lady Patterson. She is an incredible entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, several businesses. She too built multiple streams from one business. So we want to see you next week, inshallah, God willing, with that. And with all that said, we wish you and yours the best of everything great. Bye now.
This has been another episode of Wealthy Sistas Radio. Thank you for joining us. Catch the full hour encore Thursdays 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern and 24/7 at wealthysistasradio.com. The opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosts, staff, or partners of Wealthy Sistas Radio.